Hello, my name is Gabriel Nadales. I'm here with Our America, and here joining me today is Will Jones, who is the host of Apostolic Conservatives. Thank you for joining me.
Oh man, it is a pleasure and it's an honor, to be on the platform with you. I've gotten to see the great work, the nonpartisan work that you guys have been doing in the communities, and so it's an honor, Gabe, to be on here with you.
Now, thank you. Now, you are the host of this radio show, as I mentioned, Apostolic Conservatives. And what do you typically cover? Are you you're in Atlanta based, right? What are some of the things that you're hearing on the ground?
Yeah, we're based right here in Atlanta, in out of Douglas County, where we've been, just involved in the community. But I've covered events that are from uh, coast to coast that are national, and local events, but basically things that the mainstream media doesn't want to talk about. Those things that they may have their narrative that they push, and that's why my motto here is that we are the new news in Christian format, while debunking the mainstream media or legacy media, because for so long they have pushed a one-sided narrative either way. But it's only six major outlets or six major companies that own all the media, legacy media in the country and even in the world. And so just getting information that they don't want to talk about, it gets touchy because we cover things such as what happened on J6, January 6th, and those, no matter how you look at it or view it, there were things that wasn't shown, that happened that day that we had video and we covered here on our show. So
Sure.
we do. I'll add this in there that we do a live stream as well as podcast, and so we're out there on those ways, and just thankful to have this opportunity to be with you today.
Of course. Now, tell me, how did you first get involved in broadcasting? How did you decide, this is my calling, this is what I want to do? Tell me a little bit more about that.
That is a great question, Gabe. If you don't mind me calling you Gabe,
That's fine. Yeah.
uh, yeah, that is a great question because it wasn't anything that was pre-planned. I didn't plan to get started in broadcasting or live streaming or anything. But much like many people that were citizen journalists just started out with something that was passionate to them. And so what started for me as in 2020, when I saw riots and all of the stuff that was taking place, that was going on, and to be honest, I saw a lot of people, a lot of young men that looked like me, and that were out there. And I remember as a young person, a teenager who was wild, who was without guidance. I lost my mother at a young age, and I was just out there in the streets. I was really wild. And look back, but the Lord intervened in my life. I give Him credit for turning my life around at a young age. But as I saw them out there rioting and looting, and I'm gonna tell you, for several days, like going into a week, I saw this happening over and over. And I told my wife, I'd say, Krista, something ain't right about this right here, because I see why it's something about how they're protesting, which I believe in exercising our First Amendment, and they were protesting and Fourth Amendment, and they were doing it every day. But then they continued on into the night, and then they started into the night. They started, rioting, and people started getting murdered. I don't know if I can say that word on here, but I know on stuff like TikTok, you have to say unalived and all this kind of stuff. But anyway, to make it short, when I saw all of that, and I was like, something is not right about this, because at what point do you think to yourself that maybe I'm complicit because I'm out here protesting all the way into the night, and then all the crazy stuff happened? And then in Atlanta, right here about 20 miles from where I live, in the suburbs of Atlanta, we saw it was, I believe, a Wendy's where a man was resisting the police and ended up getting shot and killed. And it was at that time that I was like, look, somebody's got to stand up. Somebody's got to say something. Somebody's got to say this has got to stop. And I didn't start out with trying to be a show or anything. I just started out on Facebook. It was my out of since being a part of it since 2009. It was only my third live stream ever doing, and on that live, I just began to talk about it because it was hurting me. It was hurting me seeing young people out there that was listening to a mainstream narrative that was wrong. It wasn't right, and they wasn't seeing all the things like we could see. Like bricks in an area where there was no construction. This kind of stuff right there, and that the media wasn't covering.
Yeah,
And
I mean
so,
that was one of
yeah,
the weirdest part of the protests. I mean, I hate going into conspiracy theories or like territory, but
yeah,
it's one of those things where you wonder where in the world did those bricks come from, because you would just see like just like it wasn't even like some like you'd have a construction site, you'd
yeah.
have like a truck or something. It'd just be a pallet of bricks. It's like where in the world does that come from? And like obviously I don't know if it was some sort of like higher power as like higher power as like some like billionaire or something like that. I don't know, but
Yeah.
there's definitely out there people who benefited from these types of toxic politics, if you will,
Oh,
whether
yeah.
it be I know that Atlanta CNN has is in Atlanta. I know that
Mhm.
they were pushing out lies and pushing out like coverage of this, saying that it
Yes.
was a fiery but peaceful protest. Some of these things, and they were just reaping in the benefits of the chaos because they were able to sell this narrative. And But yeah, I mean, were you covering some of these protests live in 2020?
Honestly, I did not. At that time, I was working. I was still a over the road trucker, which is not gives me excuse to not be able to cover the events. But I was working so hard, just trying to take care of the family and stuff like that, that
I
I
mean,
did not
understandable.
have time to really go. But what I was able to do is like while I was at loading docks, or waiting to get loaded or waiting to get unloaded, I would be searching information, and getting clips and videos so that in the evening time I could go and start, showing videos and stuff. Now, I did not have that capability on Facebook, but what happened is, so much was going on, and I started having thousands of viewers over the months up until October. And it was in October that me only having, three or four, well, maybe sometimes 6,000 viewers on Facebook every night. But by me having those smaller numbers in October, I remember I had a lady that went to church with us. She watched our show and watched my show frequently. And she was one of our biggest supporters. And she had told me, and they called me Brother Will. And she said, Brother Will, something is happening because I'm not getting your videos I'm not getting notified when you come on live, when you go live streaming. I'm not seeing it. And I used to get notifications. So it was the earliest stages of when they started shadow banning and stuff like that. And that's the thing that will destroy a country, is when our voices are being canceled. When the media is uh, turns into a propagandist, and Facebook, social media, put it that way. Social media is the new town hall. It's the new township, that this country was built off, established. Every city around the world is was started with a little town where people got together and they talked about things, they communicated with one another. By us not being able to gather, us not being able to go to churches, that were shut down during this time, small businesses that were shut down during this time, we were not able to communicate with each other. We were not able to talk to each other, our neighbors, to let them know how we felt about things or if we questioned something. And so with that, it gave over power, uh, even more power to the administrative state. Even Mark Zuckerberg actually, as he was doing testimonies during the Senate hearing over the last year, acknowledged that he wished that he would not have done, the censoring that they were doing over there. Um,
Yeah, I do want to ask you a little bit about your background because you have Acts 2:38. I'm
mhm.
wondering why is that verse, Bible verse, so important to you that you put it back on your banner. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, okay. Well, this is the verse that I do my best to end every show or every live stream that I do, whether it's out on the streets where we cover events, political events, geopolitical and stuff like that, or whether it's just live stream on a show like this. And it is a biblical verse of salvation. It's a day of Pentecost where all the people were on one accord and where they were all filled with God's Spirit. And at the end of it, when the people were pricked in their hearts, they asked Peter, who Jesus gave the keys to the kingdom to, what must we do to be saved? And he told them, then repent, every one of you, and be baptized in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ for the remission of sin. And so what I do, it is a Judeo-Christian based show that I do. It was out of my faith that it was birthed, and my faith that caused me to go into action and seeing so many people hurt, with the riots and stuff that was going on. So, it's just a brand that we created and wanted to have the message no matter where we go, and that's our logo, and we want people to maybe check it out, look it up, whatever, just so that they have it, because no matter what we do, nothing is one day, everything that we see is that is temporal. It won't last forever, so only what we do, which are those non-temporal things or eternal things that last forever. So we're always have Christ centered and at the foremost of what we do. And so yeah, I want to say, continue to save our country so that we can have our liberties and freedoms. But in my opinion and my thought, there's no liberty without Christ being the center of it. I want to be able to connect shows like yours and people to your organization and others that you're connected with, and just start bringing people together in a greater way, and to just get people connected where we all can support one another, and get information out to the masses. Well, I thank you, Gabriel, with Our America, for uh, being with me, and I'm so honored that a national director would take the time to interview me. I'm so used to interviewing other people, and it's been an honor and a
Yeah,
privilege. And I hope that we could do the reciprocal soon
sure.
on our platform and our
Don't
show.
worry about it. It was a pleasure to talk to you and listen to your story. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you so much.